Massive midnight attack. Iran and Hezbollah fire hundreds of missiles at Israel. That's the headline moving fast because it's built like a trap. One word. Hundreds. Makes it feel like the sky is collapsing, and the conclusion writes itself. Israel's defenses are failing, the war just escalated, and the next night will be worse. But here's what you need in the first 20 seconds so you don't get played by the montage. You're going to get a clean framework to sort what's confirmed, what's claimed, and what the attack actually signals. Because hundreds is often a bundling trick. People combine rockets, drones, and missiles across multiple waves and locations, then compress it into one terrifying number. Mini payoff right now. The real escalation isn't the number. It's the coordination. When Iran's long-range salvos and Hezbollah's northern pressure happen in the same window, Israel's defense problem becomes less about one intercept and more about tempo, coverage, and decision windows. Now let's slow down and get the baseline straight, without killing the urgency. What's confirmed in credible reporting is that Iran and Hezbollah have carried out simultaneous or near-simultaneous attacks on Israel during this war. Iranian ballistic missile salvos aimed at central Israel and Hezbollah rockets and drones launched from Lebanon in multiple waves. The Times of Israel described one coordinated episode with Hezbollah firing rockets and drones while Iran launched ballistic missiles, with injuries reported in central Israel. The Times of Israel. But notice what that same reporting actually says about scale in at least one of those windows. Hezbollah fired around 10 rockets in that concurrent attack, while Iran fired several ballistic missiles. The Times of Israel. So if someone tells you hundreds of missiles in one single midnight window, your first question should be, are they describing one event, or are they stitching together multiple waves, multiple weapons, and multiple hours into one scary sentence? Because that stitching is how panic content is made. Now, let's talk about why this kind of midnight barrage framing spreads so easily. Missile defense is a weird kind of war. The public doesn't experience it as statistics. The public experiences it as sirens, booms, streaks in the sky, and impact videos. So even a handful of ballistic missiles can feel like a flood. And when Hezbollah adds rockets and drones, even if the count is smaller, the experience becomes, we're being hit from multiple directions at once. That feeling is real, but the numbers still matter. Because numbers tell you whether you're watching a one-off headline moment or the start of a repeatable pattern. So here's the framework. 3 buckets. Confirmed. What multiple credible sources converge on. Claimed. What one side says happened or what viral accounts repeat without verification. Sold. The emotional conclusion being pushed. Game over. Defenses failing. Israel can't stop this. Right now, what's confirmed is simultaneous attacks and multiple salvos over multiple days. For example, the Times of Israel reported Iran fired multiple missile salvos in a single day during the war's 6th day, while Israel carried out strikes in Iran. The Times of Israel. What's claimed and often exaggerated is the clean hundreds number attached to one night. And what's being sold is the conclusion that defenses are collapsing. Now let's get to the real question. Why would Iran and Hezbollah coordinate in the same window? Because coordination is a multiplier. You can fire fewer projectiles and still create more pressure if you force the defender to divide attention. Think about the defense problem like this. Ballistic missiles demand one kind of defense posture: fast decisions, high-end intercepts, and a compressed timeline. Rockets and drones from the north demand another: shorter-range defenses, more frequent alerts, more dispersed impact risk, and a constant drain on readiness. When those happen together, the goal isn't necessarily hit everything. The goal is to create confusion, and fatigue. To make the defender allocate resources in 2 directions at once, and to increase the chance that something leaks through. And this is important. In a layered defense system, you don't need most things to get through. You only need a few. Because one successful hit creates the headline. One successful hit creates the perception shift. One successful hit creates political pressure. Now, let's address the word everybody throws around. Defenses are failing. Air defense is not a light switch, it's a filter. A filter can stop most threats and still allow some through. That's not collapse, that's probability. And credible reporting suggests interception success can vary by night. In one live blog entry, the Times of Israel said the IDF assessed that all Iranian overnight missiles were intercepted, and it expected Hezbollah fire could accelerate. The Times of Israel. That doesn't mean the threat is gone. It means on that night, the filter held. So if you see a viral clip and someone says defenses failed, ask, over what period? Was it one leak or a rising trend? Because trends are what change wars, not single frames. Now here's the part that matters most for midnight barrage stories. The attack type mix. When you combine ballistic missiles, rockets, and drones, you can create 3 kinds of pressure at once. 1. Time compression. Ballistic missile timelines are short. That increases stress and the chance of decision errors. 2. Coverage stretching. Multiple fronts mean defenses and warning systems are operating at maximum spread. 3. Information overload. The public sees streaks and impacts and can't easily distinguish between intercept debris, rocket impacts, drone strikes, and secondary effects. That confusion is a weapon. Now, I want to give you one concrete pattern to watch because this is where smart viewers separate themselves from doom scrollers. If this is a real escalation into a sustained hundreds tempo, you'll see it in 3 signals. Signal 1, repeatability. Do you get multiple nights in a row of similar coordination windows? One night can be a message. Repetition is a strategy. Signal 2, behavior change. Do Israeli authorities change guidance, posture, or restrictions? Behavior is harder to fake than headlines. Signal 3, resource stress language. Do officials start talking openly about interceptor allocation and prioritization? Because that's when you know the defense problem is shifting from can we intercept to can we sustain? Now, let's be honest about the way the internet miscounts these attacks. Here's how hundreds happens. A few ballistic missiles from Iran, a wave of rockets from Hezbollah, some drones, multiple alerts in different regions, footage from different nights, and then somebody compresses it into one sentence, hundreds at midnight. That doesn't mean there wasn't a serious attack. It means the packaging may be exaggerating the scale. And you can see that even mainstream reporting describes coordinated attacks, but not necessarily hundreds in one wave. For example, PBS described Israelis taking shelter as Iran and Hezbollah launch attacks, emphasizing the emotional and civilian impact, without framing it as an instant single-wave apocalyptic number. PBS. Now, what does this mean strategically for Israel? It means Israel's defense problem is shifting from single-axis to multi-axis. That matters because multi-axis conflicts create dilemmas. If you focus too much on the central ballistic missile threat, the northern rocket and drone threat can create constant disruption. If you focus too much on the north, the central ballistic missile window becomes more stressful. So the whole contest becomes one word. Tempo. Who controls tempo? Who can force the other side to respond on short notice? Who can sustain pressure without burning out? That's the real meaning of these coordinated windows. Now, what does it mean strategically for Iran and Hezbollah? If they can coordinate, they can create the perception that Israel is surrounded by simultaneous fires. That perception matters because perception affects international pressure, domestic morale, and political decision-making. But coordination also creates risk for them. It ties Hezbollah's fate more openly to Iran's actions and can invite heavier responses. That's why you'll often see attacks that are concurrent, but not necessarily maximal. Sometimes the goal is not maximum destruction. Sometimes the goal is maximum leverage. Now, I want to pause and give you the one mistake people make right here, in the middle of the fear wave. They switch games mid-flight. They go from, I want verified information to, I need certainty right now. And in that moment, they accept the loudest story because it feels complete. But war doesn't give you completeness on schedule. Verification lags. So the discipline is, don't let a dramatic number become truth. just because it's repeatable on your feed. Now, let's bring this down to a realistic conclusion you can actually trust. What we can responsibly say based on credible reporting is Iran and Hezbollah have conducted coordinated or near-simultaneous attacks on Israel, including Hezbollah rockets and drones from Lebanon and Iranian ballistic missile salvos toward central Israel. The Times of Israel. Some nights, interception is reported as highly effective. Other nights, impacts and injuries occur. The Times of Israel. The hundreds at midnight framing is often a bundling claim unless supported by multiple credible sources explicitly confirming that scale in that specific window. And the real escalation signal isn't the biggest number. It's the widening coordination and the stress it puts on tempo, coverage, and decision windows. Now I want your take, because this is the question that actually matters. Do you think the bigger danger is the volume, trying to overwhelm with numbers, or the coordination, forcing Israel to split attention across fronts and increasing the chance of a few leaks that create outsized political and psychological impact? Drop your answer.